All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome. So happy to be here with you today. My name is Stephanie Pereira, and I'm the director of New Inc., the New Museums Incubator. And you are at our open house. Before I dive into our agenda and share our plan for you this evening, let's just run through a few things to get our Zoom space set up together. So first of all, if you haven't already, please go ahead and click that triple dot in the upper right-hand corner of your Zoom box to add your name and your pronouns. Also, please, if you haven't, please do mute yourself at this time. And if you don't, we will mute you. Don't be concerned or alarmed. There is going to be a lot of time for Q&A and discussion towards the second half of this program, but for now we'll be presenting. So let's keep interference to a minimum. Live captioning is enabled. If you would like to turn it on, hit that CC at the bottom of your Zoom window. And then finally, though we're gathering virtually today, I'd like to note that New Inc. is based on the unceded land of the Lenape people. And I'd like to pause and acknowledge and pay respect to the Lenape people and elders and ancestors, past, present, and future. By way of introduction, if you'd like to add the ancestral lands that you are calling in from today, you can in the chat now. Maddie will share a link if you need to look it up. I've used the link myself as I'm actually in Florida right now, the land of the Timucua people. You can also feel free to use the chat throughout the program to ask questions, share reflections, share energy, vibes. We love a lively chat at New Inc., and we will definitely keep an eye on it for any questions or concerns that come up. And so without further ado, I'm going to share our agenda with you. So this is the plan. We're going to kick off today with an intro, a very, very brief intro to New Inc., because I hope you know who we are at this point if you're in our open house for our open call. But the staff here will share an intro to New Inc. We'll go over some of the things you need to know about year 8 and the application. We'll then take a pause and give you all a few minutes if you have clarifying questions, or if we're seeing like a common question in the chat, we'll elevate those at that moment. At that point, we'll hand it over to our members who will share, who are here with us to share a bit about their practice and their experience at New Inc. Shout out Mark Ramos, Sisa Bueno, and Mirelle Phillips. Following our member presentations, we'll go out into breakouts where you'll have the option to join either Mirelle, Sisa, or Mark, or stick with us to ask questions. Kelsa will go more over those breakouts soon. And then finally, we'll wrap back here in center where we'll share some info about upcoming events and opportunities to connect with us during our open call period. So today on the Zoom, we have myself, Stephanie Pereira, the director of New Inc., also Kelsa Trom, associate director of programs. Kelsa, you want to say hey?
Hi, everybody.
And Maddie Aliman, who just gave a little wave. You want to say hey?
Hi, everyone.
Maddie's our program coordinator. So the three of us will be giving you the intro to New Inc. So as I said earlier, and as I hope you all know, New Inc. is the New Museums Incubator for people working at the intersection of art, design, and technology. We were launched in 2014 as part of a huge ecosystem of programs that the New Museum provides for contemporary and living artists. I like to show this picture to just make it super clear that while New Inc. is a vital and vibrant part of the overall New Museum ecosystem, we are quite distinct from the aspects to do with exhibition, events, and education. So to answer a commonly asked question, New Inc. is not a pipeline to participating in the exhibition, events, and education program at the museum. We are a meaningful piece of it, though. So what we do provide is access to an exceptional intersectional creative community of practitioners. We provide shared workspace, and that's with a little bit of an asterisk, and I'll talk more about that later. We provide mentorship and professional development. Because a huge part of the way that we show up in the world is through the lens of equity and inclusion, I wanted to share some of our stats to help you understand what a member cohort at New Inc. looks like. These are the demographic stats of our current year 7 cohort. You can also see the cumulative and total average stats on our website. And a really important part of what we do at New Inc. is guided by our core values, everything from how we operate our business to design our professional development program to organize events like this one here today with you all, are guided with these core values in mind. And so with that, I'm going to hand it over to Maddie, who will talk about a bit about our community program.
Hi, Hi, everyone. I'm Maddie, she, hers pronouns, and I will be sharing some highlights of New Inc.'s community. Firstly, we have mentorship, and our mentorship cohort is a group of 150 experts who work across art, design, and technology, and they offer a variety of ways of support through monthly meetings via our dedicated mentorship track and office hours. Each office hour season typically holds 50 to 60 mentors, mentorship appointments, and we have 3 office hour seasons per incubator program year. So there are plenty of opportunity to gain support as a member from these experts in the fields. Community, we know that during this time, connection is particularly important. As we have navigated a virtual program, we found a variety of ways to check in and provide support to one another. We have peer-to-peer gatherings to share works in progress during these informal, low-pressure ways to share works in progress. We'll share everything from source text, presenters, people to be introduced to, and it's a really nice way to just gain really valuable feedback and exchange resources with your fellow cohort of New Inc. members. We also have a vibrant Slack channel to stay connected with alum, mentors, and fellow members. This is a really great way to stay connected to alum and just everyone in the New Inc. community while we're navigating a virtual space. We're also grateful for our members who have offered to hold space in creative ways. We have member-led events. Shout out to Mark Ramos on this call, who has led a karaoke night earlier this program year. So there are ways to have lead your own event and hold space as well, in addition to what the staff provides. And as the weather gets warmer, we'll get back into socially distant gatherings at local parks. We know that we're all feeling Zoom fatigue. So there is definitely ways to gather safely, and we'll see more of that as more folks are vaccinated. And I'll pass it over to Kelsa, who will be talking about program and professional development at New Inc.
Hey, thank you, Maddie. Hi, everybody. So excited to see you all here. I'm just going to give a really quick overview of what the core promise and program of New Inc. Consists of. On the next slide. So our philosophy is all about bringing you into the fold to help kind of understand the skills and the language that's spoken in the worlds of business and entrepreneurship, not to turn you into conventional business people or entrepreneurs, but to give you the flexibility to remix all of those ways of being and ways of succeeding and adapt them to your own work. So we're really big proponents of pushing forward new types of economies and sustaining your work in ways that are really aligned with your values and the way that you want the world to look. Some of the core tenets of our program, or what we like to say is we hope no one leaves New Inc. without having a really clearly defined mission, vision, and values. So ways to help you navigate the decision-making process, modeling and planning a business, having a framework for bringing money in and a plan for long-term success, growing, scaling, collaborating equitably, basically becoming a leader with empathy and navigating exposure press, the way that you show up online, and of course, telling your story and being prepared to pitch your work to various audiences. A quick word on the program's formats. We've always been huge proponents of lots of interaction. When we were IRL, in fact, we would normally sit in a circle in an effort to be more conducive to conversation. This year, for the first time, we've run our program fully virtually. It's been a big experiment and it's been fairly successful, I would say. We've found a lot of really cool ways to engage different facilitators and people from our expert network. Important to note that we do plan on continuing to run things virtually for the foreseeable future. And we're doing this in part for safety reasons, in part for space reasons, which Steph will get into in a moment. And also because we found that it's a really nice way to make things flexible for people. So we're really here to, our program is here to meet you where you are and not the other way around. And when we say maximalist here, the idea is that we give you a large slate of options. If you have a ton of time and a huge appetite for growth, you have many, many ways to come in. If you are super, super busy and you want to be really precise and targeted, there's also a path for you. And of course, as Maddie said, we hang out IRL where we can to, get to know each other, to grow in community, and also for smaller programs. Oh, Steph, you're muted.
Yeah, figured it out. Thank you, Kelsa. Thank you, Maddie. So folks, that was as promised, the hyper brief overview of New Ink. We did not want to just regurgitate what's on our website, but we hope it was useful in bringing some of the key ideas and core values to life. So I'm going to walk you all through now some of the big points to know about the Year 8 program running September through August, the one that hopefully you all are applying for, and also some things to consider in the application. And then as promised, we'll pause for a few minutes just to relieve any of the questions that you might have. So of course, it's important to know that New Ink does come with a cost, and it is an annual commitment to participate. So if you enroll in our program, you do enroll for September through August for all 12 months, and then you pay $200 a month to participate. We do offer subsidized memberships. We have a limited number of subsidized membership based on our demographic priority areas for the year, which are listed on our apply page. And then we also have, at this time, we have one grant supported track, our creative science track. So a subsidized membership comes in at $50 per month. Year 8 does come with all the things we just spoke with you all about. So that's the community, the mentorship, the professional development, access to our shared workspace. It also comes with participation in our focus tracks. I'll explain what those are in a little bit, but basically we have a cohort of roughly 50 to 60 people in our incubator each year, and we organize those 50 to 60 people in groups of 12 or so into different areas around subject matter expertise. And then finally, Year 8, of course, comes with the dedicated care and attention of the staff, which I think is not to be undersold. So our tracks, just to run through them with you all, we're offering 5 tracks in Year 8. Art and Code, this is the 3rd year we'll be partnering with Rhizome to offer a track. We're super excited about that. Collective Abundance, Creative Science, which is supported by Science Sandbox, and as mentioned on the previous slide, because of the support, we're able to offer a subsidized rate for this track. Extended Realities, which we're offering this year in partnership with Onyx Studio. And Future Memory, which is the 5th track. So let's talk about space. I know space is really important. It's a question that a lot of people have. This year, because of our offering is very virtual, and we've very intentionally expanded the open call to anyone that's time zone friendly. But for those of you based in New York, or those of you who are visiting New York often, I'm sure you want to know when you can access our space. So we believe that we'll be able to make space available on or around January 2022. This is related mostly to COVID. It will be a new space. So New Ink is currently located in a space right next door to the new museum. That building is going to be demolished because the museum is expanding. So we are currently looking for that new space. We anticipate it will be in a 10 to 15-minute walk from the new museum. It'll be much like our current space, in that we'll be able to offer a bookable space. So if you want to come in on a Monday and spend the day working from the space, you can. We also might be able to offer hot desking, which is more just you can drop in whenever you wish. And then all of that sort of just bookable or hot desk access to the space is included with membership. So if you're accepted into the program, this is part of what you get. If we can, space dependent and COVID dependent, if we're able to offer dedicated desk rental, we're still figuring that out. It will be for an additional cost, likely around another $300 a month, TBD. We will continue to offer some equipment and resources for light prototyping, digital production, and fabrication. For folks who are selected into the XR track, as I mentioned, we'll be partnering with New Ink's sister program, Onyx Studio, and you'll have access to the equipment and resources within Onyx Studio in a bookable way. So if you need a specific space or tool, you'll be able to book access to that over the course of the year. And then finally, for everything I just said on this slide, please take it with, a lot of caveats. COVID is a wild and wily beast. It's very hard to plan in COVID times. And then commercial real estate, especially in New York, is also very difficult. So we can't promise anything, but related to what we will deliver in terms of space. However, we absolutely 100% promise that we will continuously and transparently update you as we learn and make decisions. And so very quickly, I wanted to just highlight a few things about the application to keep in mind. As you're digging into the application, if you haven't opened it yet, go ahead, take a look at it, click through. And notice that it is dynamic. So for example, if you're applying as an individual or a team, or if you're a team of 2 or a team of 4, you're going to have different kinds of questions. So it's really important that you click through and make sure that you understand what all the questions we're going to be asking you before you get started, so you're prepared. Also worth noting, we do require a presentation deck submitted either as a PDF or PowerPoint format as part of your application. We do provide a template via Google Slides where we sort of say, here are the questions you should answer. You're welcome to not use that template. You can create your own deck, use all your images, use your videos. You do you. We love that. What we don't love is when you don't answer our questions. So please look at the questions in the template and make sure to answer those questions in your deck. And then this is a very important point. I spoke about our focus tracks. We love our focus tracks. We're actually working on securing some more partners, so they're going to just get more rich and more exciting as time goes on. You will be able to express interest in your top track choices, your top 1 choice and your second choice, but ultimately we do decide who ends up in which track. It's very competitive, and we also like to make sure we have the right balance of people within each small group. And then finally, we do have some pretty detailed information about the application review process and selection criteria on the apply page. If you haven't seen it, go check out the apply page, go to that section and just click through to the hyperlink document, because there's a lot of good info there. I'm just getting ahead of all the questions we get about that. All right, so here's where we pause for any questions you may have, and I'm going to stop sharing so I can see you all better. Kelsa, Maddie, how's it going with questions?
Picking up a few in the chat. So we had a question about messy, loud workspace from Jeremy, which I think I answered, but please chime in, Jeremy, if I didn't fully answer that. And this is the point, folks, when you can unmute also and speak. Question from Justin about the requirement to be in New York, or can they be totally remote?
Absolutely can be totally remote. The access to workspace is a benefit, not a requirement.
Yeah, if you want to include video in the deck, Uli, I would link it out to a Vimeo or YouTube, or if you want to make it a private page with a password.
Oh, okay. So it's basically by links. Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you, Kelsey.
I'm looking at the questions about location. I see Jessica Clark has asked, how important is it that applicants live near NYC? We had quite a few out-of-town applicants this year, or members this year, and one of them, who's based in Chicago, even recently commented to me that she feels like it was just a magical and wonderful experience for her to connect with everyone, and she's really excited to be in New York in a couple months to visit, because she feels like she has a whole group of friends and community that she's built virtually over the course of this year. So I think it's not important. You will certainly get to build a New York family, though, for when you are here.
Hi, I have a question about acceptance based on college students, just because I am one, and I was looking around on the website, and I think the application page, and it said it wasn't suitable for current college students. Is that something that would hinder my application at all?
Yeah, you cannot be a college student and participate in the New Ink program. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no, you cannot be currently enrolled in a school unless it's like for a PhD dissertation program.
I have a follow-up question for that. If we're currently enrolled, but by the time the mentorship starts, we're not enrolled anymore. Is that something that you consider when we apply?
Yeah, as long as you're not enrolled as of September, between the September 2021 and August 2022 period, you are eligible. So it's just during the year.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
I want to respond. There's a lot of questions in here about like what makes a good application, what makes a good deck. I would love to address those maybe in a little more detail when we're going to send you all into breakouts, and our team will be one of the breakouts. So maybe we can use that time, because there's lots to dig into there. It's this kind of a longer answer.
Yeah. I do. I feel like I guess I'll quickly take a few of these. There's nothing else. The reason we call out the deck requirement in the application, that's really the big time commitment. So no letters of recommendation. It's really just a few otherwise like short form questions. We do try to make the application manageable. So no letters of recommendation required. We don't provide visa support. We will always write letters to say, yes, you're a member in our program, and yes, it's a competitive program, but that's all we can provide.
I see Jordan and Anissa, I hope I'm saying that right, have their hand raised. Feel free to unmute.
You said that right. Thank you so much. I added my question in the group chat, but I think I would rather just ask, I understand that you all make a lot of effort to make the schedule very accessible for multiple types of, I guess, people in their separate schedules. I want to know in the past how many people were doing this in conjunction with a full-time job, and if they were not doing full-time jobs, were there sort of grants or funding that were given to them?
You want to take that, Kelsa?
Yeah, I mean, as far as funding goes, we're not an immediate vessel for funding. We're kind of more here to be an educational platform to help you get set up for whatever sort of funding you might be going after, whether it's arts grants or investment of some sort. And then I guess that as far as participation goes, we've had lots of people come through the program who have full-time jobs or who are hustling across many different projects. I would say with varying degrees of involvement and with varying degrees of success. So I think it really is if you know what you want to get out of the program, and if you can with our guidance and with the guidance of our support system articulate here's what I need to accomplish in this 12 months, we're going to help you get there any way we can. But if it does end up being that there's, conflicts with everything, that's another big advantage of being remote is we've been able to record all of our programming and a lot of the conversations that we've had for longer term access. So yeah, I think it's sort of again, it's we're flexible, but we also, we're interested in people who want that layer of accountability.
Thank you. That was the exact answer I needed to hear.
Of course. Yeah, you bet.
Maddie, how are we doing on time?
We have about 3 more minutes for questions.
Okay, great.
And then more, so we don't have to.
And then more, yeah. I'm just mindful of Mirelle and Mark and Sisa.
I had a really simple question. You said that the template for the deck, I missed the part where that was.
It's in the application.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, in the part where we say, please upload a deck, if you look at the description, you'll see a link to see the template that we offer.
Okay.
Yep.
The link.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay. If our work falls into multiple tracks, shall we apply to all of them or just one of them?
You'll be able to choose your first choice and your second choice. And then also know that sometimes we'll surprise people and accept them in the program into a completely different track. So yeah, don't be alarmed if that were to happen. Thanks. Michelle, do you have your hand up?
Yes, hello. I wanted to ask if you could say a little bit more about how in the online format community building will work, because I understand that so much of potential collaboration and conversation has happened in the past in the shared workspace. So I'm just wondering what that would look like in the virtual realm.
We invested, and maybe Mark and Sisa and Mirelle can also speak to their experience because they're all second-year members with us. So they've experienced both. When they present, they'll speak about it, and then I think in the breakouts they can talk about it. But we invested a ton of energy in trying to make sure that we could create opportunities for people to connect in virtual space. From orientation onward, both through the Zoom events we organized, through our Slack channels, and then through the things that Maddie talked about, whether organized by us or members. And I feel like we've done a pretty good job, but I will also say that, of course, nothing replaces the serendipity of being in physical space together. But this will be our second year doing it. So I think we're even just going to get better at it.
And Stephanie, it seems like that there are a few questions about Onyx Studio
Sure.
and whether those are if there's an extra cost to access it or who gets to access it?
Yeah, so sure. Yeah, I know it's like a, there's also, I recommend checking out the track page for extended realities where we spelled some of this out. But basically, Onyx Studio is a physical space located in Midtown Manhattan. It was purpose built with extended reality creators in mind. It was just launched this past fall. It is peopled by a lot of incredible alum of the New Ink program and then some extra other wonderful people. What we've done by partnering with this program is we're able to provide bookable opportunities to use the production studio space or the equipment in the space. There's no extra cost for using this equipment or this space. However, it will be limited because you won't be able to be there like every day working, for example. So your primary workspace, if you are based in New York, would be New Ink. But let's say you wanted to use like our sound, we have like a really great sound studio. If you wanted to go and like book out the sound studio for a day or two and like record some sound, you could do that at Onyx Studio. And we'll be limiting the amount of times you could access that space. We're intentionally leaving a bit of an open question because we don't want to set some like very harshly small number and then realize like actually people can use it twice as much time. So more info will be sort of forthcoming as we understand people's needs and on the space. I hope that helps. It's located on 5th Ave between 51st and 52nd. It's an accessible space and it's 3,000 square feet.
Shall we move on to our member presentations? Folks who didn't get your questions answered will have much more time for this. So hopefully the pumps are primed and you can keep
We
them
wanted
coming.
to like let some steam go before we moved on to our member Q&A. Or sorry, not member Q&A, member presentations.
I think Mark will be presenting first.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mark Ramos. I'm just going to get my screen share set up. So I'm Mark Ramos. I realize you can see my URL in the presentation, but I'm going to present on a bunch of net-based works that I made, and I'm just going to drop some links in the chat so people can kind of look at them live if they want to. So like I said, my name is Mark Ramos. I'm an artist, educator, and musician. I'm a member of the Experiments in Art and Technology track, also known as Art and Code. In my studio practice, I work with things like web and software programming, physical computing, and digital sculpture to facilitate interactions with uncertain digital futures. My presentation is entitled New Ink. It's not just a membership, it's a lifestyle. So I'm going to talk about specifically about the work that I've made with some of the great people that I've met kind of in this community. So this is the first slide on my pitch deck when I applied. So when I first applied to New Ink, I applied with this idea of making fragile post-colonial technology that looked at critical manifestations of network culture within the diaspora. This piece I kind of made while I was a member. It's called Desktop Tropicalia. I also made it during the quarantine. I'll give you the link to it also in the chat if you want to check it out. It's showing online at Arabyte Gallery in London as part of a project by New Ink alums ExoNemo. With this piece, I was really interested in the sort of contradictory manifestations of technology in tropical island places like the Philippines, where my family is from. Like how labor and natural resources are sourced from places like this, but only a small part of the population can actually afford the latest technology. And also ideas of tourism as neocolonialism. So I wanted to make this online space where all of these ideas could coexist. So people can kind of click around, you can like click around and the birds will move. It's not doing that now. Oh, there you go. And the one thing that people never do with this piece is there's like a dolphin in the ocean. For some reason, people never find that. So that was like one piece that I had kind of made while I was here. My mentor for my first year at New Ink was this artist named Jonah Brucker Cohen. So we actually collaborated together on a piece called To Protect and Server. So working with Jonah as my mentor was great. We met every week in the co-working space, and we just talked about kind of the work that I was making or that he was making, like both the technological and conceptual aspects of it. We still keep in touch, like we're still friends. And we collaborated on this piece together where we reverse engineered Google's reCAPTCHA software to display images of policing and network culture. There's a live demo here that I'll put in the chat. So you can kind of, it's like a CAPTCHA test, and you sort of identify images of police violence. And if you match with the AI, it shows this like VR footage of this VR police game that we found. So this last piece that I'm going to talk about is one that I made in collaboration with a great artist and now a lifelong friend named Xiang Wu. We were both members of the same track for the years that we were at New Ink. It's called Network Ecosystem. This kind of premiered as part of Rhizome and the New Museum's first look. So I'll give you the link to this too. So this is like the online show that was put together for these collaborations that we had with Bell Labs. And if you kind of click here, the game launches on itch, and you can kind of run it. And we collaborated with the engineers at Bell Labs to create this kind of online simulated world where data is experienced as environmental change. So you can kind of wander through it. It's being a little weird for me because I'm screen sharing, but you get the idea. So what's next? Life after New Ink for me. I'm working on a port of a programming language of JavaScript that uses Babayun, which is a pre-Hispanic, pre-colonial writing system in the Philippines. So I'm working on institutional alignment and funding for that. I'm also hoping to get into the NFT game with these downloadable 3D objects that speculate on if climate change changed the environment of North America to be more tropical, like Southeast Asia. So there are like palm trees that hybridize with satellites, and AI call centers are shell phones that assemble themselves into coral-like structures. So those are things I'm kind of working on now. If you want updates on anything that I'm working on, you know what to do. Please remember to follow, like, and smash that subscribe button. Thanks.
Thank you, Mark. Amazing. We will pass it over to Sisa Bueno.
Hey, thanks everyone. Great presentation, Mark. Hi, my name is Sisa Bueno. I am also, yes, a second year at New Ink, and I will start sharing my screen now. And look forward to seeing you all in the breakout room later. All right, so here we go. I hope you see the first slide with my montage of stuff. Okay, so I think my my take is actually a little bit different from Mark in the sense that I'm more focused on the entrepreneurial benefits of New Ink. I thought that was very interesting and attractive to me, and so I'll explain my journey now. But generally, I'm a filmmaker, director, producer, cinematographer. I mostly work in documentaries, mostly in the social justice realm, domestically and in Latin America. I'm still very active in that work. And if you're interested in following that, I'm at Ab Nomad Media. It's down there, the tag, my IG is down there at the bottom. If you want to know more about my work, and I also do my mentorship, and I post about mentorship too. You know, I'm working on in production on a project now, so it will definitely be more active. So feel free to follow me there. But here at New Ink, I've been spending the last few years working on a new tech venture, and I consider now myself to be a multimedia maker. But one thing that I want to sort of highlight here on this slide is the inaccessible stories. It's one of my key values and mission statements as an artist, and which is to make stories that have been inaccessible accessible. And I'm really passionate about telling stories about people and communities that are either under or misrepresented. And it really is something that I take into consideration if it's something on a project that I want to take on. So that's one element. And then the other element that motivates me is something like this. This is a personal pain point of mine as a filmmaker. It's basically leaving things on the cutting room floor. It's a real downer. It's really hard not being able to share all the context that it takes into making any work of art. And in this particular sense, it's leaving celluloid on the cutting room floor. It's a big pain point personally. And then, because for me, I really believe, in my opinion, that a deeper understanding comes from having access to context that is often omitted. And at that point, before applying to New Ink, I was really diving into the rise of augmented reality, AR, and felt that it would be a perfect medium to explore how to resolve this pain point. And so in applying to New Ink, I realized that so much work goes into making a work of art, but that the majority of that work can't be shared. And so it's also a similar pain point in the art world. So it made sense for me to apply. And when I did apply, I decided to explore the following hypothesis. If I provide more backstory in a museum space, will that increase more time spent with art? And so in the context of I did this in the context of creating a mobile app with AR components, which brought me to the first prototype that I called Vivelo. And Vivelo, uses AR to provide the additional context in real time, giving us a deeper dive into the things that intrigue us, right? That was the first pitch for this first prototype. So I just want to reiterate again. And also, I want to also note that Vivelo is no longer their name. So just sort of in the spirit of iteration and just how things grow, and as you move and go through your own business idea, I'm scratching that out. So I'm just like sort of saying that publicly, that the name change has occurred, will be occurring this year. But in this 2 years time, I just wanted to sort of emphasize what I went through, and it was a huge shift and wonderful. I was able to create a dynamic prototype. I went from an idea, zero, nothing, to creating a dynamic prototype in less than 6 months. And then now on the way to a second dynamic prototype. And also had solid mentorship for guidance towards an MVP, which is a minimum viable product, which is something you learn about if you're interested on the entrepreneurial track. And then extensive workshops to learn more about entrepreneurship. I mean, these things for me were really key. And just to break it down even further, ideation, making prototypes, learning about user testing. And then that was the first year. My first year was really focused on making something tangible because again, I came to New Ink without anything. And then the second year, once I had something tangible, a tangible prototype, I started then to resonate more with all the business-oriented entrepreneurial side of things. So understanding the user, understanding the market, closer defining business value proposition, and understanding what all that means, finally having it all click, right? And so just a breakdown of those 2 years, and just a quick look at the work that I was able to do on site with this particular product. Just did a quick test with my friend, performance artist Carlos Martiel in Havana, which is great. That does not come with the New Ink experience. That was just my own. Then we worked with the Wolfsonian Museum in Florida International University in Miami. And we were able to get the other side, the curator side of that experience, and get feedback and really valuable notes from them to move into making a second prototype. And then another great bonus, which I don't think they mentioned in the breakdown earlier, is demo day. This was a really great experience, and this is something that really I hope that you guys get to experience in IRL, because doing a presentation in front of a wide audience is definitely scary, but it was also really invigorating and really opened up new avenues for me, and also makes you a really great way to meet new people all at once and to just have really great conversations afterwards. So demo day is a really great opportunity, and it's not something that everyone gets to do. You have to sort of apply for it, but if you get to do it, it's really worth it. So in conclusion, New Ink helped me start a tech venture literally from scratch. And thanks to New Ink, I'm more confident in navigating the tech entrepreneurship world. And again, if you want to keep in touch with me, you can follow me at IG. Thanks.
Thank you, Sisa. Yes, I hope that our Y8 folks will get to experience Demo Day IRL as well. We will pass it over to Mirelle.
Thank you. All right, just gonna pull up mine. All right. I'll start where I think Sisa did the ending, because something that we share in common is this idea of coming to New Inc. and really being able to create something from scratch. So I'm going to walk through a bit of my own journey of the past about 18 months of being part of New Inc. and it incubating, and then helping with the sprinting and the growth and development of my business called Studio Elsewhere. So if there's one thing I can leave everybody with some encouragement for, is that everything about New Inc. is deeply thoughtful. And if you have the opportunity and are thinking about doing this application, it's really fantastic for just refining your thoughts, no matter what your practice is or what your business idea is. It's the way that I started mine. I came from a career in video games and was making a very big leap into proposing a radical new type of studio for healthcare and for hospital environments. So I came into that just using the New Inc. application opportunity to really, in a short period of time, be able to refine my thoughts, get them out there, and hopefully not embarrass myself in front of the entire community that I interviewed with, which was great. So going through the process in the first 8 months of basically going from what my concept was, which is Studio Elsewhere would be a research-based practice with applications of environments that assist in brain health. And going into the entire the demo day experience and being able to present this to others of what I had already started work on this vision. And then within a very short period of time, this was January of 2020, all of these ideas and the first steps that I had taken of working with different research partners and building my practice, we hit a global healthcare pandemic where the work that I had been incubating between New Museum and also within Mount Sinai Hospital became incredibly relevant. So we took—
Hey, Mirelle, I'm so sorry to interrupt you. We're not seeing your slides move. I'm not sure if you've advanced or not.
I have been.
Okay, good, good.
Wait, but if you're not seeing them, I don't know.
We're just seeing your front slide and your view screen with full screen mode selected.
Right, let's see.
Yeah, unshare, reshare. Thank you.
Thanks for saying something. I can't read the chat at the same time. So is this working? Can you see something else? Hello?
Oh, yes, I see your rehab room.
Okay. Thanks for saying something because I can't do the chat. All right. There's other slides, but where we're at is where we're at in life. And here, I'm just going to take it. Do we see one of the rooms? So we went from something that we were working on in a research application and early iterations straight into the wild. Basically, from the moment the pandemic hit, we were inside our clients' hospitals, building out interactive restorative environments for frontline workers, having to start getting out some of the early applications of what we had developed for patients immediately. And so I am so deeply grateful that I had the luxury, which it felt like of the time, to be working with an incredible community at New Inc., from our mentor systems to everyone that's part of the senior team that's on this call, that had very much emphasized the idea of collaboration, because what we had to do as a team was collaborate with an enormous community within healthcare within the city during the pandemic, which is still ongoing for us here. I'm actually inside the hospital right now. I'm making sure this does advance. What it means to build collaboratively with different stakeholders and to enter into an industry that is incredibly, for many reasons, resistant to change, and there's a lot of roadblocks to innovation, is something that I found to be incredibly helpful, learning from and relying on the extended community of New Ink. So one thing that if you are kind of fortunate enough to be part of it, you then inherit a deep community through various mediums, whether it's Slack channels, whether it's being able to go to different type of live sessions to learn from and pick their different brains on. So that's something that I fully took advantage of. And the other thing is that my own team, I think it's like a quarter of the team, if not more, directly came from New Ink or the New Ink community too. So I went from being one person when I applied to now we're a team of 11, and we're now going to be in 30 hospitals as of at the end of next month, and have launched 2 innovation research projects in brain health with our academic partners. So the process of what that all has been in a short time period, could not be more grateful for all of the resources that is really holistic that New Ink provides in order to, even at any point of your kind of early growth, there's a way to tap into the community. There's a way of learning, okay, now I'm in this moment that I wasn't in 2 months ago. How do I know how to navigate? Everyone comes into it with a different entry point, and there absolutely are the resources to take advantage of no matter where you're at. So I'm going to stop there.
Wow. Amazing. So what I'm seeing, like real hands clapping right now and virtual hands clapping. Thank you, Mirelle. Thank you, Sisa. Thank you, Mark. That was great. And yeah, I feel like we're all just blown away, and also want to recognize that there's still a lot of questions and room for conversation. So